When I say reinvention or redefine, it's really just a cute way of saying starting over because my life has freaking imploded. My 20s was about grinding. Get the job, level up, make more money, repeat. Those accolades just feel like amazing things I've done rather than career defining moments, rather than moments that define me. I'm in this weird liminal space where I'm not quite who I used to be, but I'm also not quite who I'm becoming yet. I know what I'm capable of, and I know I'm the prize, and I know what I can do, and I know that no matter what space I'm in, I bring a lot of value. But that begs the question, how did I get my perspective to change? How did I start actually redefining success? Every good transformation starts with a little bit of a crash. Apparently, turning 30 means questioning every life decision you've ever made, while Instagram is screaming at you to launch 3 businesses, meditate for 2 hours daily, and do a 47-step skincare routine that, by the way, I'm not doing. But I mean, I'm doing a little bit of it, but definitely not in the consistency that I want to. And that doesn't just apply to the 47-step skincare routine, that just applies to a wellness routine in the general sense. But before spiraling too far, I have to ask myself, what does success actually look and feel like for me? And to be honest, for most of my life, I had the answer, or at least I thought I did. For me, success looked like a list of boxes that I had to check: a career with a certain title, hitting a specific salary, and traveling to my heart's content. And although traveling wouldn't be so bad right now, how I define success has greatly shifted. Because at some point I realized none of those little boxes even mattered if success didn't feel good in my body. Imagine this. Your dream career is already yours in a shorter timeline than everybody told you it would take you to get there when you first started. You're making more and more money with each project, and you have what feels like unlimited vacation time. What feels like, I say, unlimited vacation time. Basically, from the outside looking in, you're living the dream. Imagine also all of your time being consumed. No time for yourself, no time for your loved ones, no time for any creative outlets. It's like your time is being swallowed up by a black hole. And the pressure to live up to what success looks like is very real, and it causes a lot of anxiety, depression, spiraling, negative thoughts, overthinking, endless loops, especially with social media. It's a constant game of comparison every time you scroll your timeline. Sometimes socials can leave you doubting everything you thought you knew about success and everything you thought you wanted in life. For me, in my 20s, success felt clear, tangible, very straightforward. My 20s was about grinding. Get the job, level up, make more money, repeat. And don't get me wrong, I lived for that hustle in my 20s. I had this singular focus of climbing that ladder, getting that title, and the creative autonomy that came with it. And of course, the salary, the perks, the car, we talked about this last time. And in the beginning, it was incredible. And when I say the beginning, I mean the first few years, even as I transitioned from being a PA to a coordinator to a shopper to a assistant decorator to a decorator, even to the point of designing my own short film that won an award recently. Like, crazy. Accolades that a version of myself would have been so proud to meet. And it's not to say that the current version of myself isn't also proud of those accolades. It's just to say that because my definition of success is changing, those accolades just feel like amazing things I've done rather than career defining moments, or rather than moments that define me. Personality defining moments, purpose defining moments. And then reality hit. I realized how burnt out, stressed out, and just tired I was. And that left me feeling kind of empty. I craved, I needed more time for myself, for my family, my friends, more time for my relationship with God, especially because there was definitely a point where I didn't even have one. So it's like starting a relationship, but then also nurturing it, just like any other relationship in your life. I felt like I needed time to sit with myself, but also sit with God to figure out what my purpose really was, because my future didn't look like the level of burnt out that I was. And I know it's not what I wanted, And despite how much I loved my career, I value a lot of other things more than I valued the title that and that money. I still definitely value creative autonomy, but I'm not so attached to titles and money. Now it's just kind of like I know what I'm capable of, and I know I'm the prize, and I know what I can do, and I know that no matter what space I'm in, I bring a lot of value. So it's just kind of like, how do I want to feel? What kind of team environment do I want to be in? What kind of work-life balance do I want to have? That's more important to me out of a job or a career than anything I thought was important to me in the past. I felt like I finally realized success was pointless if it was without joy and without peace and without balance. So let's get into the reinvention, the re-envisioning and the redefining of what success not only looks like, but feels like for me now. And when I say reinvention or redefine, it's really just a cute way of saying starting over because my life has freaking imploded and I don't know and I just have to get it together and figure it out. It's a lot of WTF moments over and over and over again. I'm sure y'all can relate. I've always worn a lot of hats in my career: design, decoration, behind the scenes operations, on site logistics, whatever it is that needed to be done and I could do, I did. And not only did I wear multiple career hats, I was also balancing taking care of myself, pouring into my relationships, like I said, nurturing my spirituality, and all of that takes time, takes investment, takes energy. As a multi hyphenate, wearing multiple hats, whether in your personal or career or both, isn't really too far fetched. And I feel like I thrive when I get to wear a lot of hats because I love diversity, I love variety, and I hate when things are constantly the same and robotic. But lately, it feels like I'm speed dating different versions of myself and just hoping one of them sticks. And I hope one of them sticks soon because I'm like, girl, I love you, but like, who you want to be, what do you want to do, what do you want to get after? What is your purpose now in this space where you are, and what does that purpose look like 10 years from now? I'm in this weird liminal space where I'm not quite who I used to be, but I'm also not quite who I'm becoming yet. And so I'm kind of just in between the past and the future. And obviously that is the present, but the present me is still just very much figuring it out. And it's nothing like questioning your entire existence while also trying to figure out how you're going to pay rent, how you're going to pay bills. And yeah, it's a time. But that strong soldier package for 2025, I guess we are here and I guess it is what it is. But that begs the question, how did I get my perspective to change? How did I start actually redefining success? Well, like most transformations, it started with a breakdown, or two, or three, or five, or 10. Several breakdowns, that I can't quite fit on one hand for sure, but every good transformation starts with a little bit of a crash. Not only did burnout force me to slow down and reevaluate, but big life changes like becoming unemployed in your 30s also forced me to reevaluate. Navigating through all of this uncertainty has forced me to question everything. And sometimes that's good, but for an overthinker like me, questioning everything means multiple layers of questioning that are endless. Like there is no answer. When you overthink, even when you find an answer, you'll think of something else just because you just keep moving the goalposts. What created that shift for me was realizing that the things that I valued and defined as success in terms of title and money wasn't actually getting me any closer to what success meant for me now. It wasn't getting me any closer to the future I envisioned for myself or any closer to the new dream that I now have. Basically, my old mindset, my old definition of success has been keeping me from the life that I've wanted. And a lot of it is fear and being comfortable with your situation, with your circumstance, with your finances, and, being afraid to risk that to bet on yourself. But sometimes life has a funny way of forcing you into taking that bet on yourself by ripping the carpet from under your feet and being like, okay, now what? You have nothing, now what? You thought you had time to figure it out, to pivot, to transition, but now you have nothing. So what are you going to do? It's like, oh, wait a minute. Whoa, back it up, bro. Wait, hold on. Please take it easy on me, okay? I am just a girl. But I thought about it and it's like, what life do I really want? And for me right now, I want a life of more ease, more creativity, and more space and time to pour into the things that actually fill me up. My mental health, my relationship with God, my relationship with my loved ones, spending time in nature, a big one, reconnecting with myself through my feelings, writing them down, saying them out loud, just pouring into and nurturing not only myself, but my relationships and the future family that I want to build. I've always been the type to constantly chase for more, and I definitely think that can be a good thing. And there are still parts of me that are always going to strive for more, strive for better, just because, I don't like stagnancy. I like to grow. But instead of chasing more, I have to stop and ask myself, like, what feels good? What's actually sustainable? What makes me feel aligned with my values? What even are my values? What makes me feel alive? And let's normalize this for a second, just this line of questioning. We have to normalize failure, because you can't learn if you aren't willing to try something, fail at it, and get better. Or try something, fail at it, and realize it's not for you and pivot. But failure is where growth happens. And we need to normalize failing more, because at least you can fail up, fail forward. Failing doesn't always mean going backwards. It just means that sometimes you do have to take a seat or take a few steps back in order to really launch ahead. And the truth of the matter is, I have failed a lot. And some failures were small and humbling, and others were like a flaming disaster. Like, oh, what the was that? Like I said, a lot of WTF moments. And it's like, wow, that's incredible that I'm still standing here. But every single one, big or small, has shaped me. It has helped me better define who I am and what my purpose is. And it's given me a little bit more clarity to listen and hear God's vision of my purpose. And sometimes that can be hard, because it can just be hard to quiet my mind and to still my mind, but I'm working on it. It is I'm not there yet, but it's a work in progress for sure. So here's what I've learned with my new definition of success. All the magic happens in the messy middle, and all it happens during the process. It happens during the moments that you don't quite want to share, but those are those necessary moments for gaining clarity, for better understanding your values. It's very uncomfortable, but growth just kind of sneaks up on you, like when you get a bad haircut. You're getting a little scissor happy at home. You trim off a little too much. And it's kind of messy and chaotic and weird now, but in about 6 weeks' time, it's like, oh, this actually looks great, and my hair is actually healthier. And even though it's a little choppy in the beginning, look at the growth. Look where I've benefited. I'm starting to realize that success isn't this ta-da moment that just happens overnight. And obviously, we hear it all the time. Success isn't overnight, and anybody who seems like overnight success has really put in that time. We're just finding about them in their moments of success. I feel like the journey to success is more like waking up in the middle of the night, fumbling around, trying to, find the light switch. And it's never exactly where you thought you remember it was on the wall. But by the time you illuminate everything, what you need is right there. And it might not be exactly in the way that you wanted or envisioned. You probably stubbed your toe, hit your finger trying to find this light switch. But once it's on, it's like, I have everything I need. The light has literally switched on. So if you were to ask me, what does success mean now? Well, for one thing, it's definitely not just about a paycheck. Of course, money is important. I mean, I live in New York City. I would be delulu to say it's not, to say finances aren't important. But success for me now just means building a life that feels authentic and feels aligned with not only who I am, but who I'm growing into. It means prioritizing peace over hustle culture, building something from scratch that I'm passionate about, even if it takes time, even if I feel like I have no resources, and leaning into creativity that actually aligns with my purpose. Of course, defining what that purpose is, but leaning into those creative aspects that help me really define what that feels and looks like. Most of all, for me right now, success means being present. It means having time and energy to nurture my relationships, with myself, with God, with my loved ones. And I know I keep repeating that, but time is the most valuable resource we can have, and we're very wasteful with it, and we don't get it back. It's not like tangible goods like money and other things that you can get refunded or other things that you can replace. And although tangible goods can also have sentimental value, time is one of those things that literally is a concept. It's a construct. Like, we've invented the way time moves, but we haven't invented the way the earth spins, the way the sun and moon rises and falls. And so time is still a very real thing. It's just not a linear thing. It's a cherishable thing, and it's something that we, instead of taking for granted, should actually be more intentional about how we spend it. If you're thinking about what success means for you now and how to redefine your vision of success, I recommend checking in with yourself about these three things. What are your values? Get clear on your values. Like, what actually matters to you the most? The second thing would be to define what your definition of success is. And I would recommend doing this in a journal. Sit down, carve out some time, and write out in detail what you define success to be, not what your parents have defined success as for you, your siblings, the world. What do you define success as? And the third thing I'd recommend is to just give yourself permission and space to evolve. Your definition of success can change. In fact, it will most definitely change. Every time you change and grow, so will that definition of success. So allow yourself that flexibility and that room to just evolve and change. Success doesn't look any one way. And no matter what age you are, it's never too late to define or redefine what that looks and feels like for you. You're allowed to grow and change your mind as much as you want until you find what works for you, until you find what feels good on your terms. And I like to think of my good sis Dochi when I think about this. It's like, be you. Do things how you want to do them, and you will see the kind of success that you want to see. And everybody else will celebrate and champion you for it anyway, even if that's not what they thought the path to success looks like or what they thought the destination of success looks like. So if you're in a similar spot of just what the F moments and trying to figure it out, you're not alone, okay? Because same, and I know plenty of watching also feels the same. But this is our time to lean into this limbo together. I feel like we're all trying to commit to being better versions of ourselves and trying to commit to being more aligned versions of ourselves. But we have to be patient, and we have to understand that community is going to be everything in times like this. Because let's be real, growth is awkward and messy and painful and sometimes just straight up embarrassing. Oof, the shame. But that discomfort is also the only way forward. So again, got to take the good with the bad, right? You know, if nothing else fails, at least we'll come out on the other side with some very hilarious stories that are definitely not going to feel hilarious in the moment. But, you know, that's the fun thing about life. You can always look back on the past and laugh. It might just take some time, because time does heal. Time doesn't heal all, but it heals a lot. How has your version of success evolved? What does it look and feel like for you now? I'd love to know. And you already know what I'm going to say. Sound off about it in the comments. But this time, let's add a little razzle dazzle. Instead of just sounding off in the comments about what success looks and feels like for you now, add your favorite emoji. Just remember that none of us have this all figured out. Even the ones that seem like they do. We're all doing life for the first time, after all, right? So as long as we keep moving with intention and grace, it'll all work out the way it is meant to. You just, gotta be a little bit patient. And also, as much grace as you give yourself, do remind yourself to stay on top of your shit too, because that matters. But as always, thank you for tuning in to this week's TED Talk, this week's little yapper rant. And if you want to follow along this journey of reinvention, failure, and trying to be an adult without completely losing it, subscribe, turn them post notifications on, join the family. Not the family. Join the family, join the club. In the club, we all fam, okay? And like I said, if you're living in a WTF moment right now, please let me know what you're going through in the comments, because I feel like I'm living the director's cut version of my life. So I'd really love to hear how other people's are going. That way I also feel less alone. And now that we've kind of redefined success, next week we're gonna redefine what peace means and just talk about the value of letting go. It's not a subject I haven't touched on this channel yet, but I do feel like I really want to dive into what peace looks like for me now and how I've learned to detach from things in order to get close to peace. Again, that doesn't mean I don't crash out. Okay, I'm still just a girl. It just means that I have more acceptance with things. But that is another rant for next week's video. So until next time, have a great week. Love you. Bye.